All right. Good day, everybody. Good morning in Australia. Good evening in UK. Good day. Good afternoon here in the US, California. Well, Seattle. Hope everybody's doing well today. Super excited. I have some good friends here. Before we keep on talking, let me share today's cool flyer or the on for those who are visiting us for the first time. Here in Savvy. Welcome. To your right, you see you have our chat box. If you have any questions during the day, make sure to write them in the bottom area at the ask question area. We do tell everybody who's seeing us right now on Ministry of Rum, for example, on Facebook or different Facebook sites, come on over to Zavvy, ZAVVY.co to participate on today's live stream of the Rum Lab. At the same time, please share the event. Today's agenda is going to be 30-40 minutes talking about the main presentation. 1 or 2 minutes sharing some contact information, talking about next week's event. And then if we have any questions, we'll have our rum Q&A. All right, let's deep dive. Today's topic is celebrating Salvadoran sugarcane and coffee with Ron Colón. Oh, I forgot the end. Salvadoreño. Our guest is Thurman and Felicity Gransden. They're co-owners, and they're here, so we should bring them on board. They have a really cool picture. I want to talk about that picture there too. But let's bring them on nice and big. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening.
Good evening, I'll say from my side. Hi, thanks for having us on.
Good morning. Thanks. Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here.
Absolutely. It's awesome. So I want to, if you guys can share a little bit more about yourself, who you are, and then, or you guys want to talk really quickly about this picture that's really cool. And I want to put it back here because it's
picture. It's because I couldn't find any pictures of Thurman and I together, and that picture was taken when we went to El Salvador last year. And I was like, how can this be the only picture of the two of us? But it's perfect. It's in El Salvador. We just picked up coconuts. So, I like that one.
So on purpose, you're bending, right? It's not just like it's part of the gravity or something, or?
I don't think it was on purpose.
Yeah, I usually try to hide from any photos. And it's funny because before starting Ron Colón, Fliss and I worked for another spirits brand, and we probably traveled to, close to 20 different countries, and we essentially were attached at the hip for probably 2 years. And this is probably the only photo that does exist of the two of us, which is kind of crazy, but it's a nice one.
It's great. I thought you guys did it on purpose, that you really literally wanted to be like sideways. And it's like, oh, this is so cool, like the Eiffel Tower or something like that. No, not the Eiffel Tower, the Pisa, the Italian tower.
We should have made up a story, Fliss. Like it's actually the side of a live volcano, and it's it's actually tilted. But
yeah, we're on a volcano. That's why we're on the wall.
Well, going back to you guys, we'll start with Felicity.
Mm-hmm.
If you can tell us a little bit about yourself, and then before everybody who knows her, or who's known her for the first time, we actually have her today on the guest of the Rum Lab today. She came out, we're super pleased. And we did a really cool video that talks about her too, or presents her. So I'm going to show that really quickly. So as you go to Rum Lab, and you click on the interview, you'll see we'll usually have around 10 to 16 questions. Our guests decide how many questions they have the time to answer. Some of the questions are pretty recent. Sometimes we have them on an archive, and but it's interesting. It's awesome, actually. It's really cool. But something interesting here about this interview is that Felicity is saying that one of the things she wants to do is leave her home. So we'll certainly, she can explain about that as well. But Felicity, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, it'll be great.
We can explain that first so people think I'm a normal person. But yeah, I wrote that interview back in April. So we were in the middle of lockdown in the UK, which is why one of my dreams was to leave my house again and leave the UK again, go do some traveling. But yeah, if I give you a quick background on me. So I joined the Ron Colón team in 2018. As Thurman said, we used to work together on another brand, and also together with Pepin Janssens, who's the second founder for Ron Colón. And we worked together for 2 years. And in 2018, I was thinking about leaving our vodka and looking for a new job. And I spoke to Pepin because he was my manager. And he sat me down and he said, "Ooh, okay. Well, if you're going to leave, I can actually tell you about my secret rum project I've been working on." So that was kind of my introduction to Ron Colón. And before that, to give you a quick background on me, I'm quite new to the rum scene. So I worked, before rum, I worked in vodka for 2 years. But I was really lucky to work with the distillers at our company to kind of get an understanding around the background and the science behind the flavors that they were creating and the process. So I've always been really interested in the science of flavor. And before that, I worked with a vermouth company. So it was all about infusing and extracting flavor from botanicals. So that's something that I've always been really interested in, kind of natural ingredients and the distinctive flavors that they have. So when Pepin said that he wanted me to come on to work on the coffee infusion recipe for our coffee infused rum, so instantly I was like, yes, absolutely, I'd love to do it. Yeah, the rest is history. Joined the team and worked on the coffee infusion, and yeah, that's where we are today.
So you and Thurman worked together at the previous company, at the vodka company?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And now you feel that you're getting closer to enlightenment now that you're drinking rum? Yes, that makes sense, of course.
We've left vodka behind. Yeah, we've moved on to rum.
So is it true that there's do you think all vodkas are tasteless by nature, and then they have to be infused to have flavor?
No, I don't think so. I think the base ingredient that you use for vodka will add a distinctive flavor. But the thing about vodka is it's very different from every other spirit in the world, because it's always been on a journey to be something that is crystal clear, clean, delicate, shiny. Like, I think vodka is on its own separate journey to the rest of us. You know, it's not about, with the distillation process, it's not about keeping congeners and esters inside there and creating distinct flavors. It's about bringing it to a high ABV to get something that's very delicate and clean. But I'm still a fan of vodka in a lot of ways.
Okay. And what about you, Thurman? Let's bring you here to a bigger screen. Now that I know that you're introverted, let me just make you feel more comfortable.
Thank you. It's my big screen debut, I think. So gosh, I've been involved, I guess, in just like bigger background story. I've been involved to some degree in spirits for like the last 13 years. So started just, honestly working in restaurants and bars in New York. And I just really kind of found a passion for spirits. And yeah, that's been about the last like 13 years. And I have to say, I have trouble telling time. And I always say that I started something 2 years ago. So like, I've been in Australia for 2 years, but I've also lived in LA for 2 years. And I think I started Ron Colón in 2 years, but it's actually been a longer time. But as Fliss said, we were working together with Pepin, who's one of the co-founders of Ron Colón at our previous brand. And then I kind of branched out from there, and Pepin and I always kind of had this idea that we wanted to start a rum brand together. And just kind of through working through it over the last few years and kind of collecting a team and bringing us together, we were able to kind of bring it to life.
That's cool. I was seeing you call him Pepe or Pepin?
Pepin. But he's called all kinds of names all over the world. It's great because my name is Thurman, which is strange. But his name, although not strange from his part of the world, most people have never heard of Pepin. So he's called all different types of names. And as I said with Fliss, like in our previous role, I've been able kind of had the luxury to travel the world with Pepin, and you just learn to answer to whatever people call you. So Pepin.
Pepin I've heard of the name Pepin, but now with the Pijn, right, which is the way I think his name is written. But he's a character. I was seeing his Instagram. He loves to play music too. His guitar, and he's giving New York an entertainment show there.
Pepin is one of a kind. Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, I'm gonna before let's deep dive a little bit more about the brand. And then before we start talking about the brand, there's a video we want to start sharing, which is this one here.
In the US, you only hear such terrible things about the country, and it's considered to be this rough and violent place that no one can be safe, and there's nothing like worth seeing, which is such a pity because it's an absolutely beautiful country. Just seeing the beauty of San Salvador and being able to drive to the coast and finding out that there's world-class surf spots and incredible food and incredible volcanoes, and just there's so much beauty there. And so Ron Colón kind of came from this place of always wanting to do a rum and then being truly inspired by a place that can make some of the best rum.
It's awesome. So in the background, I have this image. I'm going to remove, let's see if I can put it. No, that's not the background. No, that's not it. That's not it. Okay, I can't put it. So there's a beautiful, or in part of the video, you guys are showing high elevation, tons of clouds, a lot of mountain, and it's very unique. And so before we start talking about the brand, what do locals drink in El Salvador? Do they drink rum, or do they drink aguardiente and beer? Do they drink they don't drink anything?
It's kind of a blend of all three. I think that it's so funny because in the States and in Europe, it's it's cooler weather. So it's people drink in the States, it's craft beer, IPAs and these really spicy kind of things. But when you kind of go down to Central and South America where things get warmer, it's about things being really fresh and interesting and really refreshing. So it's kind of a blend of all three. One of the big things actually that is starting to happen in kind of San Salvador is craft breweries and craft beer. And you're seeing it kind of throughout Central America. Panama has a really, really booming craft beer scene. But one of the interesting things when it comes to rum in El Salvador is that since El Salvador doesn't have a big footprint in the global rum market, it actually is in a way flooded by a lot of the other big rum brands that are from Central America. So, things like Ron Abuelo, Ron Zacapa, those brands are actually in El Salvador at a very, very cheap price.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's for example, when one of my first trips and working with the guys from the distillery there, they were saying it's actually kind of hard to be able to have a competitive rum price, even making rum in El Salvador, to give to El Salvadorian people, because from the other rum producing countries, rum is so cheap. So when you go to the grocery store, it's you can get a bottle of Ron Abuelo Añejo for super, super cheap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what's El Salvador's main economy that you know of, or primary, or some of their primary economy? What is it based out of? Tourism or a lot of agriculture?
Primarily agriculture. I mean, Fliss is the scientist expert of all things facts in our team. But I think coffee, sugar.
Yeah, coffee. Yeah. They produce a lot of sugarcane, And until quite recently, it all went into just sugarcane, just sugar production rather than going into rum. But coffee is one of their biggest exports. So up until most recently, when the coffee industry has started to decline a little bit, but at one point it was 90% of the whole country's export. So it's a big part of their economy. A lot of people working in the coffee industry. And if we go way back before that, it was indigo was one of the biggest things that they produced. But yeah, I would say coffee is still one of the biggest things that they're producing.
You mentioned indigo. What is indigo?
Indigo is a type of dye. Yeah,
Mm.
that typical blue color that you get in your jeans.
Yeah.
Indigo.
So they used to produce a lot of indigo dye, dye.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, sounds cool. How do they do that? You know, you learn?
I don't know, actually. No, I just know from my research that when coffee was introduced, it overtook indigo really, really quickly because El Salvador has the perfect climate, the altitudes, everything that you need to produce coffee. So it was very quickly incentivized by the government, and a lot of people moved over to coffee production, whether it's processing or growing or harvesting. A lot of people worked into that. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that. And Thurman, how did you start Ron Colón?
Sorry, I almost caught me in a sneeze. So I mean, gosh, I feel like I've been working on a rum brand for the last like 10 years. In some sense, I mean, I fell in love with rum on a trip to Panama. Actually, it was the first time I really experienced it, and it really ticked my interest as to rum as a spirit. Prior to that, I was like this New York bartender that thought rye whiskey and mezcal were like the king of spirits because that's just what you do as a New York bartender, at least at the time. That was years ago.
Yeah.
And I only made Manhattans, and like, you don't want a Sazerac, then get out of here. But then when I went to this trip, it really opened my eyes to the beauty of rum. And I just really wanted to create a rum brand. And even when I was working with other brands, it was always kind of in the back of my head that one day I would want to bring a rum to life. What that type of rum was, where it came from, I wasn't certain. Like there was times where I was like, I want to start a rum brand in New York, like in the Northeast, or I want to start a rum brand in California, or I want to start a rum brand like somewhere super, super strange. And then kind of when I met Fliss and I met Pepin at our previous brands, it was really like kind of finding like-minded people in the industry that we talk about spirits in a certain way. We research spirits in a certain way. We really, between the three of us, we really have kind of, I would say, a mutual understanding of what we believe in the spirits category. And it kind of just started like as a simple idea. I'm trying to think of when was the first conversation that Pepin and I were like, hey, let's make a rum brand. But yeah, it kind of just happened naturally. And what happened was we went on a trip to El Salvador and we really just fell in love with the country. And it was just such a beautiful place. And we met some really incredible people. And as we started doing research about rum and this idea of creating a brand, we really noticed that El Salvador has such a rich tradition of incredible agriculture. It has such a beautiful landscape and beautiful people. And it was just so strange that there was very little rum coming out of El Salvador. It seemed like one of those things where it's like, it's a bread basket of incredible products. Yet the rest of the world didn't know that. And the distillery, La Chiotan, and I apologize if I mispronounced that. My Spanish is very, very, very terrible.
All right, wait. Let me put my recording. Let me record this. 1 second.
Which is terrible. I'm from California. My family heritage is Mexican, but my ability, when I took Spanish in high school, everyone always called me the gringo surfer, just because of how I pronounce things. But anyway, they're doing really, really incredible stuff, and they are getting the word out about rum in El Salvador. but you know, we wanted to do something different. They're making a certain style of rum, and we wanted to do something slightly different. And so once we got there, we were just like, this is it. This is the place. Like, it's just, there's such an incredible story to be told about the rum that can come from there. And yeah, basically Pepin and I just kind of, over the years, put all the pieces together. And I kind of worked on the flavor rum sourcing side of things, and Pepin did all the business side of things. Like, I got to work in the romantic, like, taste rum, go to El Salvador, work with distillers, taste coffee, and Pepin just did all the hard stuff. And I think that is one thing for anybody that wants to start a spirit brand. It is incredibly amazing, but it's hard work. And if you had Pepin on here talking about all the legal stuff and all the tax stuff and all of that, I mean, forever grateful that he was able to handle all that, because it is tough. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's like kind of long short of it.